Welcome to the Childcare Business Coach podcast with Evelyn Knight, where mindset mechanics come together for success. Evelyn Knight is the leader of the ECE revolution and is on a mission to touch 1 million children's lives through the elevation of the ECE community.
Hello and welcome to the Childcare Business Coach podcast. My name is Evelyn Knight. I thank you so much for joining me here today and for taking the time out. I hope everybody is looking forward to a wonderful week. Remember, your thoughts are so powerful. If you think you're not going to have a great week, you probably won't. But if you tell yourself it's going to be a great week, it probably will be. I've been in a season where I have to keep reminding myself of that myself. I have to keep telling myself, and I have to keep reminding myself, one bad thing, it doesn't make the whole week bad, right? And something I've learned in life is to remind myself, even if something wrong goes today, the first 2 hours of my day might not go well, but am I really going to allow the rest of the 12 hours that I'm going to be awake be bad just because I had a bad 2 hours? So don't let things like, oh, it's going to be one of those days. Don't say things like that just because you had a bad morning, because if you do, you'll create a bad day. Your mind will be looking for the negative, right? So let's get to the topic we're talking about today, though. Today, we are talking about how friendly can you be with your staff, right? Balancing being boss and being staff. It is really, or being a friend, not boss, staff, being the boss and being your staff's friend. There is a fine line of balance there that can be very hard for us. And it's something that we really need to be conscious of and really think about, is when is it time to be the boss and when is it time to be the friend? Early on in my career, I made the big mistake of being too much friend and not enough boss. And it's something I still really struggle with, and I have to be very conscious and aware of, because I love my staff. I love my staff. But when it's time to make hard decisions, being their friend and becoming too involved with them to a certain extent, it hurts. It hurts. And it is very hard. And I will tell you, after 20 years, it doesn't get easier. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It doesn't. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It does. It does get easier. But balancing being the boss and doing the hard things that you have to do, and being a friend to your staff, or just being there for them, or just caring for them, it never gets easy. It gets easier, but it never gets easy. What I would love to caution each of you on is really watch that you don't become too much of their friend. You don't become too much their friend that they start walking all over you, because it just happens naturally and you open the door to that. And I want you to always, always remember, with your staff, with every relationship in your life, your family, whatever it is, every relationship in your life, you train people on how to treat you. I'm going to say that again. You train people on how they treat you, or how they are going to treat you, right? So think about that. If you become too much of their friend, well, how are you with your friend? Oh, she'll understand. She's got my back. She'll be there for me. I'm just too tired to come into work today, but she'll have my back. So we can't be our boss's friend. Or I'm sorry, I'm getting my words all mixed up today. We can't be our employee's friend, but we can be their mentor. It's very important that you see yourself as a mentor and not your employee's friend. And yes, I know that gets lonely. It does. Leadership can be very lonely. It is lonely at the top. You need to be there for them. And you do need to be transparent with them. I just did an interview for a radio show, All Things Wellness. And we were talking about this balance, and the host of the radio show asked me, well, when your husband was terminally ill, how much did you rely on your staff? I cannot even begin to tell you how much I rely on them. I couldn't have survived without them. I wouldn't be here today with this company that I'm bringing this podcast and my YouTube show to you. I couldn't do this. If they weren't there for me then, I would not be here today. I would still not own my childcare center. And so I had to be extremely transparent. And I believe, and if you're one of my clients, I tell you guys all the time, honesty, just be honest, right? Is probably are tired. And some of you I know, all know that what answer I'm going to give. I actually had one of my clients the other day actually said, yeah, my director said, well, you know what Evelyn would say. And it's basically like, just be transparent, be honest. But you can be too transparent and honest. You have to keep that line of professionalism, right? Your staff does not need to know what you went out and did this weekend, but they do need to know what you're struggling with. It's being their mentor. So an easy way to think about it is you don't want to get too personal, right? If there was, let's say that you were performing for an audience, is what you're bringing into the room going to benefit the audience, right? Is what you're bringing in, how does it matter? Telling me about Friday night, that is not going to enhance any conversation. But when my husband was sick, coming in and saying, my husband spent the weekend in the hospital. I'm exhausted. It was a really rough weekend. That is something my staff kind of needs to know, right? That is something that is going to enhance their experience. It is transparent, but it's not TMI. The other thing to remember is never vent down when you're frustrated with your work life, or you never vent down. You always vent up. Now, some of you, I realize you don't have anyone to vent up to. You are the top. If you're the owner, you're the top. And you might be so frustrated with your staff. You might be just exhausted. I was there once. I was a very exhausted owner once that didn't have anyone. I just had nobody to hear me. My husband at the time had gotten to the point where he was so tired, and it's natural for men to want to fix everything, right? We just want to be heard, and men want to fix everything. And I would come home and I would vent to my husband, and really I just wanted him to hear me, but he was trying to fix everything. So he got to the point that he said, I don't want to hear it anymore. I have my own work stressors. You won't let me do what I need to do to help you, which his resolution was closing my business or selling it. And he said to me, if you're not going to sell the company, then I don't want you to bring me your concerns anymore. I don't want to hear about it. So when that happened, there was no I'm the boss. There was nobody to vent to. And it was all inside of me. And it was exhausting. And it was depressing. And I did actually think about selling at that point. And that was when I started working with my business coach at the time. And for the first time, I had someone to vent to. So when I formed Childcare Business Professionals, this company that brings this podcast to you, I intentionally, one of the things I wanted to do was to make sure I created a community so that you would have someone who's there for you too. That's it. For some of my ladies, they are amazing, and they actually help me coach now. My seasoned donors who do really good, once they've been through my mentorship program and our coaching program, we actually turn a lot of them into coaches, right? They become our coaches. And when one of them was telling me the other day, she's like, this is just so valuable to me because it's a community where I'm not alone anymore. And I can so resonate with that because, as I was telling you earlier, I felt like an island. I felt like I was just all alone managing my childcare center, and that nobody understood what I was going through. Nobody knew the stress of being responsible for all of the financials, for being responsible for 190 families and 25 staff members' paychecks, right? And it was so incredibly lonely having that on my shoulders by myself. But the Childcare Business Professionals community is a place where owners that were in that position, like I was, can see that they're not alone. They're not alone. So we could get together once a week and we're just there for each other. in our office hours. Some come and vent, some come and cry. And sometimes we just work out problems together and we laugh. But at least my girls, my members, they know they're not alone. And we do have gentlemen too. I always say girl, but there are gentlemen as well. It just gives you that venue. But so bottom line is, do not vent down. You always want to vent up. It is extremely important that you don't go and complain to your staff. That is very toxic behavior. They should especially not know what is going on with other staff members. They should not know your frustrations, right? There is sometimes certain things they do need to know, but it's how you present it in a very professional manner. For my members, this is something we do train on a lot in our communication series. It's in your membership site. You can look up more detail. I really don't have a lot of time to go into just this episode really quick on the details of how to properly communicate and what to communicate. But I think the one takeaway from this would be, don't vent down, vent up, and be a mentor, not a friend. Because when you become your staff's friend, you can't take the actions that you really, really, truly need to take. You cannot step up when it is time. And when it's time to let somebody go, it is too hard. It's too hard to manage the people. So I hope that's helpful. This is going to be a very short Mindset Monday today. I'm transitioning to some things, and I just wanted to leave you with a quick tidbit of useful information that you can take tomorrow. But if you're noticing some toxicity in your center and that there's things just running rampant and that your staff isn't respecting you, it feels like they just don't have that respect for you, I want you to really look at you, because the culture of your center really actually stems from you, and it really does trickle down. So look at what kind of conversations are you having? Are you talking about one staff member to another? Are you maybe providing too much information about one classroom to another? Do they have their nose way too much in other teachers' business, right? Do you have your nose too much in your teachers' businesses? Are you hanging out with some staff but not others? That is very toxic, very, very toxic. Are you holding your staff accountable? Can you, or have you crossed that line into being too friendly with them, where you can no longer hold them accountable because you're not at that level anymore? It's almost like being a professional mom, right? Where you can't be your kid's mom, you can't be your kid's friend. You have to, a good parent is going to make their child mad every now and then. They're going to guide. And sometimes that takes some tough love. Same thing with your staff. You have to maintain that professionalism. But you do also want to have a good, healthy relationship with your staff, which is why, as a leader, you should see yourself as a mentor, right? You want to stay that step over here and keep them in an area where you share enough. You do bring them into your life enough, but you don't want to cross that line into too much personal. Otherwise, you will lose their respect and they will walk all over you. And you also need to be professional. In our industry, people are constantly complaining about us not being recognized as professionals enough, but we don't always want to behave like professionals, right? So I challenge you to ask yourself, are you behaving like a professional? Do you show up to work every day like a professional? Do you talk like one, act like one, look like one? Because if you're not, then how do we expect the world to treat you professionally? How do you expect your staff to act professionally if you're not? I hope that is helpful. Always leave us a comment. Tell me in the comments, how are you showing up professionally? Or if you're struggling with it, let us know. We would love to help you. Let us know how it's going. And if you're listening to the podcast, send me an email and let me know at admin@childcarebusinessprofessionals.com. That's admin@childcarebusinessprofessionals.com. How is it going for you? Have you crossed that line? Or maybe you're the one who feels like that island, who's just alone and you just need somebody to come by your side because you're just so tired of feeling alone in this industry. If that's you, let us know. We would love to come alongside you. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And remember just to guard your thoughts. Don't let yourself go down those negative rabbit holes of thoughts. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining Evelyn today. For more information, please visit childcarebusinessprofessionals.com.